Captain Midnight.
Like many of you, I'm sure, I had some serious reservations about the prospect of a Venom solo movie, and there's been some convincing videos made about why the idea is doomed to fail. But for me, I don't know, I'm kind of excited about it. There's a reason to believe it'll be bad, like the fact that it's released by Sony, who doesn't always know what they're doing, but the last few months has given me some hope that maybe, just maybe, they'll pull this thing off.
The Venom Marathon continues on the biggest TV in New York. We're shouting out to the whole big rotten apple here, people.
First, let's talk about talent. Tom Hardy being cast as Venom is a big deal. The guy is one of my favorite big-name actors working today. From big roles like headlining one of the best action films of the last decade, to smaller ones like the insane gangster he plays on Peaky Blinders, Hardy is almost always guaranteed to be fun to watch, and his recent choices are good enough that it makes me at least a little confident that there's something to this script, if he was willing to sign on to it. No matter how the movie turns out, I'm looking forward to seeing Hardy as the ball of pent-up rage that is Eddie Brock. Then there's the director, who, granted, I'm a little less sure about. Ruben Fleischer, who directed Zombieland, and the slightly underrated 30 Minutes or Less, isn't the worst choice in the world. He obviously has experience combining violence with a dark sense of humor, which is something that I imagine will come in handy making a Venom movie, but he also made Gangster Squad, which is bad. Like, really bad. But everyone has a misfire every once in a while, right? I could see his Zombieland sensibility working really well with Venom, so I'm hoping for the best on that front. And I know a lot of people in the comments are gonna have one major sticking point with this movie. It's Sony, how great can it be? And while yeah, it is true that Sony has made some very dumb moves in the past, I'm still not willing to totally rule out a movie just because of the studio making it. Well, okay, except for maybe The Asylum. And besides, the trailer for Into the Spider-Verse looked pretty promising. Sony may not be my favorite company, but even companies who don't know what they're doing can greenlight a great movie every once in a while if they just leave the creative team alone. I mean, look at Wonder Woman. Judge Venom by the film it ends up being, not the executives that released it.
You'll see us everywhere, even in your nightmares.
Spider-Man, the Venom Saga.
There's also been a lot of talk swirling around about if Spider-Man is going to be making an appearance or not, with the latest statement from Tom Hardy being that while Spidey himself isn't going to be in it, Tom Holland's Peter Parker will be, which is pretty crazy if you think about it, because it means that he'll have played the character 4 times since 2016. In 2 years, he'll have already played Peter in more movies than Tobey Maguire. Weird, right? Anyway, a lot of fans aren't so happy about the prospect of a Spider-Man-less Venom movie, but I'm kind of okay with it, honestly. As long as you can establish the relationship between Peter Parker and Eddie Brock, I don't really see the problem with kind of skipping over the black suit origin. This is a Venom movie after all, not a Spider-Man one, and if you want to dive right into the Venom storyline, there's no reason why Peter can't play a smaller role. Another thing worth talking about is the impact that Deadpool could have on the film. One way that the Venom movie could be exciting is being hard R-rated in a way that MCU movies simply can't be. Sure, a movie being violent doesn't make it better at all, but there is some stories that you just can't tell under a PG-13, and to set itself apart, it might be smart for Venom to dig into that. It worked for Wolverine, another character who can be pretty brutal when he needs to be, and he's a way better person than Venom. So creating a Venom franchise that's darker and more morally ambiguous than the MCU Spider-Man just makes sense. Then there's the rest of the cast, which only adds to my excitement. Apparently Michelle Williams has signed on to play Eddie Brock's ex-wife, a successful lawyer who went on to become She-Venom in the comics. And while I've never been a huge fan of the character, I think there's a ton of potential there. And hiring an Oscar-nominated actress to play her makes me think that maybe the writing will finally live up to the concept when she's taken to the big screen. Then there's Riz Ahmed and Woody Harrelson. One gave a great performance recently in HBO's The Night Of, and the other is, well, he's Woody Harrelson, come on. Add Tom Holland to that and man, bastard offspring of the MCU or not, this is a pretty stacked cast. I should probably also talk about the two comic series that the movie is supposedly taking inspiration from: Venom Lethal Protector and Planet of the Symbiotes. Both are mid-90s comics, which, let's be honest, was the real heyday of Venom. They both could serve as really useful ingredients in creating a great Venom story. Lethal Protector is especially important, as it marks the first time that Eddie Brock shifted from an out-and-out villain to an anti-hero. The story itself is about Venom fighting a bunch of mole people or something. Look, I haven't read this thing since I was 12. My guess is that they won't use that, but I think that's where the Planet of the Symbiotes comes in. Lethal Protector may provide the setup of an anti-hero Venom, but it's the story of Planet where I'm betting they'll get their plot inspiration from. That storyline features a massive symbiote invasion where Eddie Brock is forced to pick a side and defend humanity from a bunch of symbiotes even sicker than him. I doubt they'll go with the whole invasion of the Earth angle, but I could easily see the movie forcing Venom to help people against other symbiotes. This would give Eddie plenty of other symbiote monsters to fight, including maybe Carnage. I mean, think about it. The internet is so down on this Venom movie that stars Tom Hardy and may just feature Woody Harrelson as Cletus Cassidy. Call me a 15-year-old fanboy if you want, but that sounds potentially really cool to me. Of course it all comes down to execution, but saying there's no chance it'll be a good movie, I just don't buy that. I get it though. In some of my past videos, I was pretty down on this movie too. But the more I think about it, the more I think it has a chance to capitalize on darker aspects of the comic that the MCU movies just won't touch. And as much as I love the MCU, I think that's something worth doing. Maybe everyone is right. Maybe Sony will screw this up just like they've screwed up the Spider-Man franchise in the past. But looking past the company to the talent they've assembled makes me think, you know, maybe this thing's got a shot. Honestly, it better be good after I go out on a limb for it like this. Hey guys, be sure to like and subscribe and click that bell and all the stuff that YouTube wants me to say to you. But also, I want you to tell me what your favorite Venom storyline is, ever. And I will see you next week.